Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a nice green bounce to the upside. Bitcoin slightly underneath that $52,000 mark. However, Ethereum right back to $3,000. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins looking pretty good. Nice green price action on Matic, HBAR, Render, the Graph, and many more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that is looking pretty good, potentially looking for that breakout. And of course, that project is called FILECOIN. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency. We talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description, but better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. And the best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Let's scrape through the top 100 real quick so that we can get an idea of what's going on here in this market. Generally speaking, we can say that Bitcoin's still within range. It's not doing much. It's still going sideways, and it's exactly what I expect for Bitcoin. And the next little while, if we get a sweep of the highs, I may consider getting into a short position. But at the current moment, Bitcoin going sideways is absolutely great. Why? Because we see the altcoin market looking good. Ethereum is up 2.5%, 5% for the last 7 days, looking pretty good, but it's still within structural, structure. You can see no real higher highs or no breaks of previous highs or anything like that. So we got to wait for Ethereum to continue in this consolidation, and it could be possible it is a bull flag for continuation to the upside, breaking above that $3,000 mark, potentially hitting the bullish price target of $3,500. That's what I'm expecting for Ethereum. If we're going to go for another leg up, that's my next bullish price target. However, guys, what will happen here for the altcoins? We will see these altcoins continue to look strong. We have BNB looking good, another 3% for BNB. It looks like it's trying to enter a consolidation as we speak. Solana, maybe found its bottom in the short term. It could be very possible. Solana is back at about $103. Very psychological level, that $100 mark. And at the end of the day, getting a bounce at this level after a decent retracement would be absolutely great. So, of course, we're taking a look at good buy opportunities based on risk to reward. And Solana could be in that state very soon. Let's continue going down. We have ETH. Anything that is ETH related, again, ETH, Lido staked ETH is doing pretty good, grinding still to the upside. Cardano back to the bottom of the range in the consolidation, maybe a bear flag continuation to the downside, perhaps. AVAX not doing the greatest as it's making those lower lows and lower highs. Over time, in the short term, we're seeing a bit of a grind to the downside. However, again, retracements down 10%, double digit in the last 7 days. Guys, we're expecting, a bit of a recovery soon for the altcoin market. We could see a bit of capital flow from Ethereum into these larger cap altcoins at any moment, right? They're just taking a break. Remember when Cardano and AVAX were doing good? Just keep that in mind, right? Even Solana, just keep that in mind. It's a Chainlink, Polkadot. There's many others here that we can keep in mind that ultimately we see the distribution of money, of capital from Ethereum into some of these larger caps. They're all going to take turns. They're all going to get their opportunities, but we got to show a bit of patience here. We have Dogecoin at the bottom of the range at the previous low. Maybe get a bounce, come back to range highs. Maybe we're range bound for the next little while here on Doge. But ultimately, the way we look right now, we're desperately looking for support, because if we don't, it's coming down for that lower low. What else do we got here? A bit of red, red across the market. ICP red, SHIB looking a bit red, Toncoin looking a bit red here. Price action is going nice and choppy here on IMX, and we have FILECOIN. Guys, the man of the match for me today is FILECOIN. I want to take a look at FILECOIN. We'll talk about the chart and see what's going up. It's up 42% right now in this last 7 days. Really bullish. Fundamentally, from a fundamentals perspective, guys, decentralized storage is definitely a hot narrative. Guys, FILECOIN has been around for a bit. The reality is that the value proposition right now is, and the utility right now is becoming more and more prominent. And it's more in our face because we want to decentralize the web. That's exactly what FILECOIN offers, is the decentralization of our storage. File storage. So in this case, we're seeing potential NFTs wake up. We want to decentralize our NFTs, which are very important. Again, if you know how NFTs work, you want to decentralize the storage of the JPEGs, of the, of the videos, of any NFTs that you got, any GIFs or anything. They need to be in a decentralized storage system in order to really classify, the NFT as decentralized. So this is something that, is really good. I think fundamentally it's hot, but at the same time, we're getting some green price action today. So should we get defensive? Guys, we'll take a look at the charts very soon. Make sure you hang tight. Let's continue going down. H-bar looking great. Another impulsive move to the upside after a nice consolidation. Decent move. Guys, if you remember, about a month or two ago, I was accumulating H-bar. And that's what happens, it kind of goes dead in the water. There's a lot of patience that needs to be expressed, obviously. And then all of a sudden, the calm before the storm. We get the storm, and you can see that H-bar, Hedera hash graph, is moving. It's up 40% in a week, guys. Not bad of a mover in the last little while. Caspa getting a bit of a retracement, but nothing major. Caspa has been a great gainer in the last little while, of course. I wouldn't be aggressive in getting into a bearish stance on Caspa, but taking a bit of profits and cycling them into, another altcoin that hasn't run is not a bad idea. But nonetheless, Caspa is still a beast. The same thing with Tau. Tau, at the end of the day, is kind of going sideways. It's down 10% for the week, for the last 7 days. It could be in a retracement mode. It could be one of the projects that dip if we see a bit of weakness in Bitcoin, right? So this is something we got to understand. If you're looking for entries, be very careful not becoming exit liquidity. Let's move on. A lot of sideways price action, a lot of double bottoms. I'm seeing double bottoms across the board, even lower lows. Look at Aptos, lower lows, double bottom for Near Protocol, XLM Stellar, another double bottom. So we're getting double bottoms, and Render keeps on grinding. No chill at all. It's at $7.77, up 24% today, guys. What a beast. It keeps on going. It's coming to the point that really I'm not really interested in even taking profits on Render anymore. It's so matured. My entries are so great that really, what's the worst thing that could happen? A bit of a retracement of 30%. But the way it is really going at this current state, I feel like there's more risks taking a lot of profit. If I take profits, it's going to be a quick skim off the top, maybe 10%, just for me to be able to scale into other projects. I'm looking at TIA. I want to be able to build a position on TIA, but I'm going to be patient on that one. The graph took off. It's gone, guys. It's gone, guys. I gave you the graph a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I've been telling you about GRT because it's been very quiet at the bottom of the range, and all of a sudden the graph is moving. Now is not the time to be looking for bullish positions, guys. Make sure you join live at 7:30 Eastern tonight. We'll talk about the graph. We'll talk about any of these projects that you're interested in here. I'll take your requests and put them in top priority. But the graph at this current state, guys, don't FOMO in. You could keep on going, no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that it could keep on going. Probability is, it could go. But what about the fact that it is up 52% and there's a lot of profitable traders out there right now that could be looking for profit taking? So let's be careful here with the graph. I'm bullish, no doubt, but entries have came and gone. Let's move on. We have lots of sideways, and as we conclude here, tons of sideways everywhere. I'm not seeing anything really interesting. Fed keeps on grinding, another 20% to the upside. Good stuff there. And we have WLD WorldCoin. Guys, I'm not really interested on the narrative. I'm not really interested in this project, but congrats if you're in 166% in 7 days. A beast. Really good stuff there. Chili's is slow grinding as well. Some good gainers, never mind. Even though we got a bit of a retracement in the last little while, and the last, I would say, 24 to 48 hours, we're getting a nice amount of green to compensate for that dip. So there is some sideways price action throughout the market. There are some good gainers that are still trying to run and pick up from where it left off. Look at Singularity Net. This is great. AGIX is running again, up 120% in the last 7 days. And of course, based off of the earnings of NVIDIA, a lot of these AI projects are running based on that narrative. So good stuff across the board. Ultimately, my conviction is keep on looking for bottom dwellers. Keep on looking for projects that are at the bottom of the range, ready to start running. because it could be at any moment that we see Bitcoin take a break. And if it comes down for a dip, guys, a lot of these projects will come down definitely, and we'll be able to scale in at lower levels. Ensure you have dry powder for that scenario if it does play out. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin, because we're going to talk about FILECOIN in a second. Bitcoin is doing pretty good. Bitcoin is doing great. We're going to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator to see what we can kind of come up with regards to Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin, like I said, if it shows strength, the Bitcoin will do well. Altcoins potentially could go sideways. And if Bitcoin dips, you know what's going to happen to that altcoin market. It will come down hard. And we got a taste of it earlier on today based on a little dip on Bitcoin of 2%. We've seen Bitcoin literally take down the entire market. That's something that's concerning to me, because a further dip, even down to about 44,000, which is, the short-term bearish target for a lot of individuals, and getting a bit of a reaction, maybe a bounce, a continuation, no doubt, would be a scenario where we would see altcoins come down significantly. Let's see what kind of dip that would be. That would be a 14% dip. I would expect at least a 50% retracement on altcoins, which is significant, guys. Think about it. From its bottom to where we are right now on some of these altcoins, a 50% correction will be significant, guys. So this is the thing. A 25% correction, a 30% correction on Bitcoin usually translates into a 70 to 80% retracement on altcoins. And those are fire sale opportunities. So I'm going to be very patient with my cash on the side to deploy at the current state. Really, if you look here at the daily, what is Bitcoin doing? Nothing really. Honestly, it's just going sideways. It's doing its thing. The only thing that leaves me very concerned, again, is the RSI, the momentum. The momentum is rolling over. As you can see, we crossed, the RSI crossed over that EMA. It does look a little bit bearish. We can get another little impulsive move to the upside, even make a higher high and maintain a lower high on the RSI, giving us class A bearish divergence, which would be very bearish, of course. And that sweep of the highs on that higher high might be the scenario where a lot of people might start entering short positions. Okay, keep that in mind, because the momentum, even on the MACD, on the strength of this trend is losing. You can see that's getting a potential EMA cross in the next 24 hours. Perhaps we could definitely see that happen, and one little red histogram bar, and all of a sudden we're in the bearish control zone again. So we got to be very careful here on Bitcoin. Ultimately, Bitcoin going sideways is why we are seeing the altcoin market really run. As soon as Bitcoin makes that decision, whether it be up or down, we'll see the altcoins react. To the upside, Bitcoin can suck a lot of liquidity out of the altcoins, and still they could go sideways. They could even dip down just a little bit in a retracement. But if Bitcoin does come down, in that case, we'll see a huge fire sale across the market, and we'll be ready to deploy. All right, guys, let's move on. That's Bitcoin. If you want more detail, join me live tonight at 7:30. All right, FILECOIN. Guys, I can't say it again, but FILECOIN, I'm really bullish on FILECOIN. I'm bullish on the overall narrative. That's why I bought into Crust. I have a little bit of Arweave, because I like Arweave, smaller cap FILECOIN, very similar value proposition. Anything that relates to decentralized storage, or decentralized anything for that matter, I'm bullish. That's why I got into Tau, Octaspace, and many, many others. When you embrace decentralization to the max, I get really interested. FILECOIN is definitely one of them. Decentralized storage is a hot narrative, and I think as the major player in this narrative, it should do very well. Now, of course, we can scale into lower caps to totally capitalize on that volatility to the upside in the bull run, so that we can make more of those gains. But if you're looking for something that is within that narrative that is a little bit more secure, because it's larger and there's a lot more community behind it, FILECOIN is it, right? FILECOIN is definitely it. Now, we saw the bullish divergence. Now I'm going to get into the weekly quick so we can consolidate some of the noise, and you can see tons of volume here, guys. There's no dispute, like lots of good volume spikes right into this level. And then you also use the volume profile to kind of give you that conviction that this zone was an accumulation zone. This zone, there's people buying. Nice rounded bottoms, potential touching W formations, getting back to the tops, potentially breaking necklines and all that kind of stuff. Accumulation phase through and through. Look at the momentum. Look at the RSI. Getting to oversold conditions. Nice bullish divergence right into here, all into here, and then all of a sudden rolling over and going to the upside with that nice impulsive move here on the weekly. Guys, we're not even overbought yet. The reality is, if FILECOIN gets overbought in the weekly, it will translate to an extensive visit in the overbought scenario on the daily. And we've seen what altcoins can do on the daily. They can basically get overbought for a good while and stay there and see this thing continue pumping. Before I get into my bullish price targets, let's talk about this scenario a little bit more, okay? Because there's a lot to be said here. So we do have point of control. We do have a huge cluster of supply and demand, lots of market participation. We have the RSI that's looking to get bullish on the weekly, and we have the MACD that's looking pretty good here. EMA is facing up with green histogram bars to the upside. Let's get into the daily real quick. Then on the daily, we see the same thing pretty much. We're overbought, no doubt, but because we're getting volume, look at this volume again, another volume spike at the breakout point pretty much, and we see that the weekly is poised to get overbought as well, with the EMAs facing up with green histogram bars on the MACD in the bullish control zone. We are looking for a potential continuation breakout here to the upside here on FILECOIN. Now, you guys know I'm not a breakout trader, and this is why I DCA'd all into this retracement, all into this level. DCA, green arrows, oversold conditions was the zone to DCA. Right here, it wasn't, because you know, we started continue grind. Right here, it definitely wasn't. That down here was okay. Down here was even better as we got lower lows on the price action, double bottom on the RSI, which gave you class C bullish divergence, and then all of this follow through to the upside is looking pretty good based on volume. So what could we conclude here? We can conclude that this zone right here is driven by bulls that are basically accumulating, and as time passes, they're becoming impatient and they're accumulating harder, expecting this thing to break out. Okay, so this is what we got to keep in mind. Right now, we're looking for this breakout on this double bottom. Great scenario here with this confirmation low, a higher low, something that I wait for as a confirmation when I get into a bullish stance. Higher low because this low is higher than this one, and we confirm that this low is potentially the last low. Right now, we need a higher high, right? If we make that higher high, what do we need to do? We need to break above this high to really get that conviction going. That's why I have a thick yellow line here. I have the red arrow because that is potentially a risky zone, because we could get rejected there. The reality is the price can get there real quick, and there could be profit takers. Why? Because you got to think about, if people DCA'd, let's be very modest, right into this zone, okay? And they start looking at the price action. Even as we speak, we're up 113% from entry, okay, more or less. Then you start coming up to the actual target where things get a bit risky. You're up 140%. So we got to think about, if you were in that position up 140%, would you be taking a bit of profit? 100%. That would be the responsible thing to do, is to, number one, trail up a stop loss of some sort to defend your gains. Number two, take a bit of profit off the top so that you can raise capital to buy dips on either other projects or any corrective moves, even if it's a little correction on FILECOIN, so that you can buy the dip. Taking profit after 100% gains is not a bad idea across the board. It's called de-risking. You want to de-risk a little bit. You got in taking a lot of risk here, guys. Obviously, you didn't know that it was gonna get support. It could have came down and make a lower low. It's very possible. So you need to take a little bit of reward, which is a little bit of profit off this risk, because you took a lot of risk and there was a lot of reward. Now take those benefits off the table and trail off that stop loss, and just hold a bit of capital just in case. Now, from a big picture, guys, let's look at this from big picture. What is really happening here? The story extends, because the reality is this market participation right into here, all these buyers, all these accumulators have an agenda, and their agenda is to pick up enough of a bag to benefit from this volume gap. They realize that in this zone there is little to no resistance. From $9.47 to all the way to about $16.57, there's no resistance here. We could fly from this zone straight here really quickly, and that would be a huge money-making opportunity. So what are these guys doing? They're packing their bags for the liftoff. The big move where you see those real exponential moves to the upside begins right here. So what kind of percentage are we talking about in this gap from the breakout point, which is $9.69, to the actual end of the move, which would be very confluent with these lows and the volume gap, where you get a bit of market participation that could, act as resistance? You're up 70%. You're up 70%. So now, as we keep on getting these impulsive moves and we potentially get these breakouts, just keep in mind that you should be getting into a defensive mode, trailing up stop losses, taking another 10% perhaps, and then, sky's the limit. After you do that and you have those stop losses in, and all those triggered stop losses on spot, and trailing stop losses on using leverage, at the end of the day, what you really want to do is protect those gains and have that safety net so that you can let a little bit of that capital run. What about if it it continues, right? That's the beauty behind putting that stop loss, because you still have your position size intact, and it could be possible that FILECOIN runs. To be honest, if FILECOIN reached $16.50, I would be exiting any leverage positions at that point personally, and I would be looking for full-on spot positions, because the risk has been taken. And if you get into leverage, you're talking about some good gains even on leverage. And at worst case scenario, guys, if you're going to keep in with your leverage positions, just get defensive, have a risk management plan that understands the volatility that leverage brings or offers. And obviously there's benefits and drawbacks to using leverage. It's very strategic. You got to be very strategic. So a nice pivot point, that's what we conclude here. Very nice. What we really need is a break above this horizontal resistance and start trekking to the upside. And that is when the top of the volume gap is when I would get a lot more defensive on my gains and leave some in to for the market to continue running. MACD is looking good. EMA's to the upside, and you can see that it's somewhat expanding here. We got into a very tight consolidation after a massive expansion. Tight consolidation. What about if we start expanding again and starting getting some good moves to the upside, you know, after a nice bottom level of support? Guys, we need Bitcoin to continue going sideways. We need Ethereum to continue showing strength, and then ultimately it would give FILECOIN and other altcoins the opportunity to swell up and start moving to the upside. Guys, if I've offered you any value here on the channel, feel free to slap that like button. Of course, it does really help out with that algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Guys, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action, and join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material, and the best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.